So actually, you know what?
So there's this AI feature on the iPhone that you probably didn't know about, and I truly think it's revolutionary. Let me explain.
So that was something. Now, if you didn't get what that was an AI recreation of my voice made just on my iPhone. And this is something done by Apple, not any third-party app. And this is something that you could do on your iPhone right now. So let me show you what it is. So this is called personal voice. And this is a feature that came last year in iOS 17. And in my opinion, it's pretty cool. Although it's not perfect, and we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, this is one of iPhone's most, I guess, underrated features that got kind of swept under the rug last year. And this is actually one of their only AI features, which is kind of disappointing, but at the same time kind of cool. And basically what this does is it takes 150 recordings of your voice saying random phrases, and I'll show you the whole process in a second. And then it uses those phrases and fills them into AI, and bam, it gives you your own personal voice. Now, how do you use it? Well, first you go to your settings, you scroll down to accessibility, then you scroll down to speech, and then you go to personal voice. And there you have create a personal voice. Now after that, as I mentioned before, you create 150 voice recordings of yourself saying different phrases. Some of them are kind of weird phrases, but you'll get used to it. And after you're done, you basically leave it on charge overnight while you're sleeping. And by the time you wake up, over 6 to 8 hours, it should be done. Now after that's done, you could use it in a bunch of different situations. One example would be how I used it in the start of the video. Just use it in a live conversation, and you could do that by inputting text, and then you could just press play and it'll play whatever you're trying to say in your voice. And along with that, you could also use it in phone calls, FaceTimes, and it even has access for third-party apps. So if a third-party app does want to use it for a certain feature, you could do that. And it's just a simple triple click on the off button of your phone. Like you click double click for, well, Apple Wallet, but you click triple click for personal voice. And that's something that's super convenient. And I truly think every person should have this on their phone. And that being said, why should you be having this on your phone? Like, why is this a useful feature? I mean, I can speak perfectly fine. Why do I need like a secondary voice? Well, there's a couple possibilities, so let's run it through them. Well, number one would be the sentimental value, and not just for you, but your parents or your other loved ones. Now, when your loved one passes away, maybe your sibling, your parents, or your child, like it's very unfortunate, and eventually you are gonna miss their physical presence, and that is usually in the form of their voice as well. And actually what a lot of people do tend to do is if they have saved recordings of their loved ones, whether it be videos or audio messages or even voicemail messages, they do tend to save those for their entire life for the sentimental value. And some people actually do listen to these every single night. Now you're probably getting where I'm getting to, and that's that you could actually use this if your loved one has this, or if you have this and you unfortunately do end up passing away, which is in addition to all the voicemails and the recordings and all of that of you. Now I don't think this is necessarily going to replace all the recordings, and I'll get back to that in a second once again. But I do think this is definitely going to be a nice addition for the sentimental value. And another potential cause is losing your voice. Like that is a very real possibility, and for some people it may be temporary, and some people it might actually be permanent. Like for example, you may be really sick, you may have like a sore throat, or you may have gone to a concert the last night and you probably lost your voice just singing so loud. And if you have that case and you have a meeting in the morning or you have an important phone call, you could just use the AI feature, and that's something that's super convenient once again. And I think that's another reason that you should have this, because like you're not really gonna predict a sore throat or losing your voice at the concert. And there's also always the possibility of being diagnosed with something too, like speech loss or ALS or anything along those lines. Well,
now you can use this as a substitute.
now that being said, let's get to probably the big elephant in the room. Is this actually perfect? Can this actually replace your voice properly? Well, in its current state, not really. But that being said, it still has a lot of potential, and AI is only gonna indefinitely grow after where we are right now. Like it's not gonna go back in time, but rather it's only gonna continually improve over time to eventually, I guess, not really replace humans or even replicate humans, but be its own thing that's very reliable for humans to use as a tool. Now along with that, once again, as AI does improve, you're gonna get this being like more perfect and perfect until it's near matching your voice. Now, along with that, there's also more room for this to expand in the coming future. Like right now, it's just triple click and you could use either like certain phrases that the iPhone has pre-picked, or you could put in your own phrase. But I think in the future, it would be more cool to see this. For example, the new S24 Ultra has this new auto translate feature where you're talking to somebody on the phone and it'll auto translate both sides. So it'll translate, suppose you're talking to somebody in Spanish. It'll translate the Spanish person into English on your side and your English to Spanish on that person's side. However, this is still gonna be in somebody's voice, but imagine having this in your voice, maybe on a phone call or directly built into a translation app. Like for example, I'm planning to go to France and Italy in the summer, and I'm not really planning to learn a whole new language just for like 10 days. And I think it'll be more natural and more like human to actually have your personal voice speaking like Italian or French to another person, instead of having to like learn a whole language and speak it for 10 days. Or even like use some random Siri or like Google Translate lady's like voice, which makes you feel more disconnected and doesn't build a human connection. Now, there are a few other problems too, like it doesn't really catch accents that great. And also, I don't think it's really great at expressions. Like if I put a question mark or an exclamation mark, it'll just say it like a period. Even a comma is gonna come out like a period. And it might just be my voice is bland, but I've tried it 3-4 times. So I've made different versions and it just comes out all the same. It comes out very straight and bland, and there's not really a lot of expressions. Even though like most of the questions they asked me during the 150 phrases, they were mostly questions and exclamation marks. Like it didn't really ask a lot of periods or commas. And I'm surprised nothing really comes out when you're actually trying to show expression in your sentence. But then again, this is definitely gonna be better in the future. But for now, that's something that you definitely should be beware of. So all in all, I know Apple doesn't have a lot of AI features, but I'm glad that this is one of their first AI features on the iPhone. Like, I think this is super cool and it's super useful for a lot of people that would actually need it. And I truly think that this has the potential to grow even further in the future. And I'm really excited to see a lot of what Apple does in the future with AI, because what I've noticed about Apple is they tend to make their products and their new features more human. Like they don't just slap in a bunch of R&D and technology and call it a day. Like they tend to make a lot of their new products and releases, like the Vision Pro, for example, with its eyesight and pass-through. Actually, make sure to check my video about that if you haven't already. But they tend to make a lot of their new releases feel more human, and this is a perfect example of that. And all that being said, once again, I think this is super cool, and you should probably actually install this on your phone too. And maybe if you do, let me know down in the comments below about what you think about it. And if you really like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.